Hey everybody, welcome to this season's first GVX Q&A, where we ask for your questions on social media and then answer them for you here every week before the game. I'm Ben Fredrickson. This is Tennessee football beat writer Justin Dopirak, and we'll be here every week answering your questions, so make sure to get them into us through Twitter and our Facebook page at GVX. Starting out, first question. Obviously a lot of talk about the newcomers this season.
That's all we've talked about, pretty much.
We had a question. Jordan wanted to know about the best looking newcomers so far. So Dustin, why don't you start us off? Tell us, there are plenty to choose from. Who's caught your eye the most?
No, there's a long list. I mean, I've been impressed by Jalen Hurd. I think Josh Malone's gotten better throughout the camp. A bunch of guys on defense, Emmanuel Mosley. But I think Ethan Wolf has really stood out to me, just the way the guy's built. I mean, he seems to be the most college-ready player out of that group. He's listed as a starter at tight end, and I think he's going to be one of those guys who totally changes the way that position is used. They already have a lot of depth there that they didn't have last year with guys like Daniel Helm, even Alex Ellis, who was out of practice the other day, but seems like he can help. But Wolf seems like that guy that can totally change the position. 6'5", really big kid, can block, can catch the ball. I think he can do a lot immediately.
Yeah, I'm going to go on defense. I'm going to say Derek Barnett. He was a four-star prospect coming in, so there was a lot of hype around him, but I don't know that that there was as much hype as he's created since he's been on campus.
Yeah.
He's going to be starting at defensive end on Sunday. He will be potentially the first true freshman starter on the defensive line Tennessee's ever had if he's out there for those first snaps. So he's a guy who's basically been drawing the rave reviews of coaches since he stepped on campus, and that hasn't really wavered. We've seen some of the freshmen, the coaches have been high on them at certain points, and then they've kind of tapered off, or certain guys have come on strong. But Derek Barnett has been a guy who the coaches have pretty much been singing the praises of since he got here. So I think he'll be one to watch, not only Sunday, but throughout this entire season. One of the more specific questions that we had was from a Vol Fan for Life on Twitter. He wanted to know, in a goal line set, who might line up in that fullback spot. I think looking at last year, that would be H-back Joe Stockstill, but we've also seen some different looks from the team in practices. You had mentioned Ethan Wolf. Tell us about a little bit what you might see from the tight ends and how they might add some of that blocking help.
Yeah, definitely all those guys that are in that kind of sort of, hybrid position, tight end, fullback. I think you can see them in all kinds of different formations, and certainly when they want to go with a bigger backfield, close to the goal line, Ethan Wolf's an option. I think Joe Stockstill was a guy that was kind of did that before. I think he's an option. Even Daniel Helm, even though he's not as big as Wolf, I think is a guy that could be an option. There's a lot of guys that they could use just to get a little bit more push right there, but Wolf's certainly an option as well.
Sure, and we want to give you our question as well, because this will be our first chance to see this team on the field. So headed into this season opener, what's your biggest question for the Vols?
I'm interested to see how this group deals with what they're going to see from Utah State, what Utah State will do against them defensively. Utah State was, on almost every category, the best defense in the Mountain West Conference, and was top 20 nationally in just about everything. And what they do really well is they just throw a bunch of different fronts at you, especially on third down. Really mix stuff up. Sometimes it's three-man fronts, four-man fronts. Four, maybe having five guys stand up. There's going to be just a lot of potential for confusion up there, and you're dealing with an entirely brand new offensive line. Not to mention a whole bunch of skill position guys who haven't played a whole heck of a lot, and certainly, even Justin Worley, even as a senior, he's an experienced guy, but that's still a lot to throw at him anyway. So I'm interested to see how they go about blocking that. How they just go about just staying on principle, staying on assignment, those sorts of things. There's going to be a lot thrown at them at a lot of young guys, and how they handle that on the offensive side of the ball is going to be really important. Yeah,
I'm going to go with, can they contain Chucky Keaton? He's one of about 6 quarterbacks in the FBS who's got 1,000 rushing yards and 5,000 passing yards. Fringe Heisman contender, and Tennessee has not been able to slow down mobile quarterbacks last season. They say they're better at that, but they're also going to try a defensive line out there that didn't have a starter coming back from last season. So to me, that will be the key to the game. If they can do that, they should be able to get a win. If not, they could very easily see their season open up on a disappointing note. So that's the biggest question for me. If you guys will continue to have questions throughout the season, I'm sure, so be sure to let us know on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll answer them every week in this GVX Q&A.